Hello and welcome to FYNB Talks. Welcome back. I'm your co-host Jerome J. Curry with the Right Honorable Yvonne Gamble. And we are excited about some new topics and information that we have to share with you. Yvonne, how have you been?
I have been wonderful. I really have. And, I'm excited, about this fourth season, getting up and off the ground, getting started. So I'm really excited. I'm excited to get going, excited to be back.
Excellent. So we'll go ahead and hop right into it today. So, Yvonne, what's this exciting new topic that we're going to be discussing with our audience?
Well, what we are going to do is we really are going to, in this fourth season, we're going to tackle the fourth industrial revolution. Play on words, but a play on time. And, considering that with this fourth industrial revolution, we're starting to see information, really kind of hit the scene on the fourth industrial revolution. And so we really wanted to break this topic down for you. And it's really appropriate, the title, what we say, what is the fourth industrial revolution and why should you care? Because a lot of people are hearing it and they're wondering, why should I care about that? Is this just, another term, another something that's going on? And it's not. We're 6 years into the fourth industrial revolution, and this is something that's going to impact you from every aspect of what you do, what you have to do, how you, just actually go through, living, working, and relating to one another. So we'll go right into that, and I'll let Jerome, come and, kind of take it away and get us started here.
Absolutely. So, Yvonne, as we start to talk about this fourth industrial revolution, a couple of things that come to mind. You said that comment, and you made that comment. Why should we care? Why should people care about a fourth industrial revolution? And one of the things I'll say is this: is that it seems like it came upon us really quick. Am I right here?
Well, what happened was, as we go through industrial revolutions, let's stop back and let's just kind of give the people, that little bird's eye view. What is a fourth industrial? What is an industrial revolution, and how are we now in the fourth one? Industrial revolutions. It took us a long time to get to the first industrial revolution, where basically we were using, water and steam power. So industrial basically says we no longer were doing things in a manual manner, and we began to use machines or equipment to help us do our work, or to do something to get to where we wanted to go. Now, most revolutions will last anywhere from 80 to 100 years. The reason why the fourth industrial revolution looks like it just kind of hit us, with high speed, high velocity, and, just kind of taking us by storm, is because of the way in which everything is actually happening. It's happening at the speed of light. So again, like I said, in that first revolution, we were looking at, water and steam power. By the time the second one uh, hit us and we came along, basically, that's when we're using electric power to create like mass production. We're using electricity. And then by the time we hit the third, we were actually using electronics and information technologies to automate that production. So remember, we started out using water and steam in our first revolution to mechanize systems in production. And then in the second, we used electric power so we could actually create mass. We could do things in mass. And then by the time we hit the third, we wanted to automate those processes so that those processes came automatically. Well, now it puts us into the fourth industrial revolution, which actually got really going and got underway about 6 years ago. So you figured, that actually was pushing in about 15, 16. That's when it really started. Now, what makes an actual industrial revolution? What actually makes an industrial revolution, it's not just simply we change, or we put a new car, or we get a a new type of cell phone, or we go from one 5G to 4G to 5G. That's not what makes it. Is it's global, meaning it changes the way everyone operates, the way everyone does what they're going to do. That's what makes an industrial revolution, because then basically we've changed across. Now, what one of the benefits, and why you're even seeing even more information come onto the scene about this, is when the pandemic hit, because we had the global use of Zoom, we had the global use of communications. So communication was no longer, something where we had to do the snail mail and send something and say, "Oh, is this happening to you? What's happening? How are you doing it?" Sending letters, wait for the postman to come and deliver a letter to us. We have where we could instantly find out exactly what was going on someplace. They could actually work together simultaneously, on a cure, on developing vaccines. All those types of things, because of this revolution that we're in right now, it makes all that type of stuff possible.
That's really good, Yvonne. There is so much unlimited possibility with this industrial revolution, and I like the fact that that it's called that industrial revolution, because it not only, I think one of the things about this fourth industrial revolution is that and that in revolutions in general is that they touch so many aspects of people's lives, whether it's from work, whether it's from lifestyle, whether it's from how you want to enjoy your evening. Every aspect of your life is touched. So now, with the previous revolutions, you had different opportunities, like the water and steam revolution. It changed how people traveled. It changed all those different aspects. The last revolution, we saw information start to become a part of this. Now, in this fourth industrial revolution, we're now seeing how not just a computer can be a tool, but how it impacts almost every aspect of our lives when we start to think about it. When we think about how we read books now, I've got an Amazon Kindle, so I read books differently. When we think about if I go to the eye doctor now, the eye doctor now has equipment where they can look at a scan of my eye, a 3D scan of my eye, and can reconstruct a real time 3D scan of my eye in less than 10 minutes. So what does all of that mean? Well, that means that there are a lot of different opportunities to be taking advantage of, and some other things such as artificial intelligence, robotics, the Internet of Things. These are some different areas. Maybe you can talk along some of those areas, and how this transformation is going to bring some things about. Yvonne, what are your thoughts there?
You're absolutely right. Basically, as we're moving over into the digital, the lines are becoming blurred, and they're going to be blurred even more so between our between the lines are going to be blurred even more so between the physical, the digital, and biological spheres. And there's three reasons why these transformations are definitely, you were absolutely right, are not merely a prolongation of the third industrial revolution. It is because the distinct role of velocity at which we are changing, the scope, how it is changing, and just basically the scope in general, and the system's impact. This is what you were just telling the audience when you were saying the way you read, that has changed. So now the way you process information is going to be much faster. When you are reading some into your mind, into your visual cortex, and so even that will help to expand even the mind, the physical mind of the person. Reading is very good for you to do, and it helps to keep the cognitive skills going. But now, when we are ingesting information from a digital mind, we're reading it, with our eyes. We're not touching it, so our sensory perception is solely on our visual cortex. So now the visual cortex has to expand in order to actually take in this information, because when we read something, especially a book, we get excited about it, and we get excited about the visual, and we visualize what the scene might look like and those types of things. But minus the tactile touch, the mind now recreates that tactile touch that you would have had you been able to hold that book in your hand. So when you do that, it's going to, it will change those things, as well as, moreover, it's going, like you said, it is disrupting every single industry that is out there, and it's disrupting us on a physical level, on a biological level. And we'll get into that more, as we go through, and especially when we're talking about artificial intelligence.
Absolutely. And that's a great place for us to take a quick break and get right back to it. See the lights blinking. We'll take this break and be right back.
Okay.
All righty. And so what I'll do, I'll let you lead us back in, and then we'll go ahead and take it from there. Your window must be open because I can hear. Oh,
okay. Why'd you say? You know what? Yeah,
I just heard. I mean, I was hearing it, but I was just like, maybe it's just the static.
No, the only thing that I heard, I don't know why. I heard that screeching for the.
No, that was on. I think that was my side. Matter of fact, hold on one second. Let me just check.
Okay.
Something. Okay, I think it does that when it's when there's like a tornado warning or something. I think it'll screech. Ours is it's this fourth industrial revolution.
Okay. Okay, ours is this fourth, so that's why it was screeching.
Yep, because it'll do a tornado to let us know if a tornado is coming or something like that.
Okay. Now, where's that screeching coming from again?
The fire alarm.
Oh, okay, got it.
So our fire alarm is tied into our security system, and if there's a tornado warning, or like a large storm or something, it'll go ahead and start bling. I mean, it'll do that.
Okay, very good. Okay, so right, so I'll come back in. Okay, I got two more topics, which is fine. I got those two more paragraphs there. The possibilities of billions of people. You had started that, then you cut yourself off and went to.
Okay.
Oh, that's yours. That's yours.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That one's mine. Yep. Challenges and opportunities. Yep. That's me.
Okay, fine. We'll come back in with that.
Okay. I'll let you lead in it.
Okay. Great. All right. Okay, we're back, and we're thank you for those who are just joining us. This is FINB Talks, and we are live with I'm Yvonne Gamble and co-host, and my co-host is the illustrious Mr. Jerome Curry, and he's going to be here to kind of illustrate for us some of the challenges and opportunities that exist or that will exist during this fourth industrial revolution. So, Jerome, I'd like to, just we're hearing so many different things. And one of the things we are hearing, which does sound pretty good, and it says that, the global level, the income levels, they're going to improve. The quality of life is going to improve. How we're going to do that? I mean, we talked about, you talked earlier in the earlier segment about artificial intelligence coming in. Won't artificial intelligence take our jobs away from us? I mean, even if I just looked at that one area, I know the Internet of Things, it helps us to talk to and communicate, but how is this going to improve global income and, lift up the quality of life?
Absolutely. Yvonne, like any revolution, it involves change. And one of the significant changes is this change of switching from the hard manufacturing headcount side to a different side. So here's what I mean by that. You have different places around the world that now has unlimited access to technology, to information, to be able to build, design, and develop. Previously, before, the people in a third world country would have to go into what's called university in their country, in their line, or what's called the higher level of university or higher level of school. And oftentimes that would involve one of the significant family members leaving and going to university and then having to stay there and learn, and then perhaps hopefully get a job, bring back revenue, and send that revenue back home. Well, now that person can participate in a global economy with their mobile device. You say, well, Jerome, how? That's huge. How? Well, how? Well, think about it like this. With YouTube, I just saw this the other day. YouTube has well over 1 billion hours of content. So they've got content on everything from being able to how to make cars, how to make smartphones, how to draw, how to build water wells, how to become an engineer, how to become a software engineer. So everything that they would need as far as an education, they can literally get from a mobile device that they can connect to online. Well, wow. So what does that mean? That means that they can get access to specialized knowledge that they did not have the opportunity to do for a fraction of the cost without leaving their village. That's huge. Because as we know, Yvonne, it's the education that uplifts the nation. And so out of that education comes new products. We're seeing this in Africa, where they're coming up with new products and new ideas and new technologies. We're seeing this across the world, where technological innovation is occurring. So what's happening is you're seeing more people now that are thinking differently. So they aren't thinking, okay, you know what, I need to go and get a manufacturing job to support my family. They're thinking, what if I can create some idea, some website, some application that can be globally utilized and then bring in an income, so you can now participate in the global economy without leaving your home. That's one of the powers of the fourth industrial revolution. What do you think about that, Yvonne?
That's something. What that does is, I'm gonna tell you what that. makes me think about. It actually leads me to my next thought, my next question. And that is, will this revolution yield greater inequality? And I guess I'm stuck on only because I've gotten so many questions on this about artificial intelligence, even down to the point where, how is the potential to even disrupt labor markets. We're seeing the auto industry, the auto factory right now in the United States is literally at a standstill because of the inability for the supply side to deliver chips to the manufacturers that they would put into the electronic control modules on the cars. So I'm almost expecting that they literally have been in there retrofitting those factories with more automation. See, it was robotics was back in the 60s, just the arm, that kind of moved a piece from this part or that part, or maybe pushed the car through that was heavy, and assisted. Now we have artificial to the point where the robots are intelligent and they can make decisions and they can, make changes and they can act upon those decisions. So that potential would create greater inequality. I'm going to step back for a moment, and just so that the audience understands, a part of the what was coming out of the end of the third industrial revolution that really just kind of pushed us maybe a little bit sooner to go globally into the fourth was stem cells. And that was the use of stem cells in cures. Stem cells, to make additional body parts, stem cells that you would put in that would give you longevity of life, make you look younger, any number of things that stem cells can do. And the quality, this was about 2009 when this was being just fiercely demonstrated and negotiated and talked about across the world and world power think tanks. And that was not, can we, but should we? Yes, we can. Yes, we could. Yes, we could do all of those things, but should we? Now we are going, one of the big issues that I recall was on the table at that time was the fact of what is it going to be like for humanity, or what's going to be a human? How are we going to determine that? And especially now that we're looking at hybrids, where people, with artificial limbs, and we have skin like replacement skin that we can actually put on a person, over a limb. So if you look at it, there's really no distinction from that and, someone, who's just a regular human. So the cyborgs, all of that becomes. So will the revolution yield greater inequality?
If we allow it to. I think one of the things that we have to do is understand that we are the captains of our ship. And that's something that when we talk with our founders, that's something that when we talk with different nations, when we have these conference calls, we like to make sure that they are empowered to move forward. It's going to be so important that if you know that the technology and the information is available, it's so important that in order for there to not be inequality, that we take the opportunity to let people know, listen, there are resources that are available and you don't have to be handicapped to the first industrial revolution. You don't have to be chained to the second industrial revolution. You can participate. Your village can participate in the fourth industrial revolution. Will there be inequality? Unfortunately, with all of the technology and all the things, there is the chance. There's always the chance that there's going to be inequality, and that's something that we're always going to have to deal with. If you think about it previously before, if you were a computer engineer in the 80s or the 90s, you probably were looked at very funny. What do you do? I work on computers. What the heck is that? Or in the 70s and the 80s, they were like, computers, huh? You do what? Oh my, wow, is that really a career? And now
Yeah.
If now it's reversed. Now for the person that was working in computers, it was probably, there was probably unequal access to be able to learn, grow, and develop in your new field. Now for those who are solely wanting to just do manufacturing, listen, I don't want to do anything with computers. You're going to be in a very, you're going to feel the inequality, because it has moved beyond that point. So what I'm saying is that, are there going to be inequalities? Yes, but can we build in processes? Can we build in educational procedures? Can we build in supply chains? Can we build in information pieces? Can we help people to understand and help them to be able to cope with the change? Now, I've seen two different standpoints on this. I've seen multiple standpoints on some of the inequality that they're going to be facing. One of the standpoints is that, listen, you know what? I worked for 20 years. I was 5 years from retirement, and now everything has changed, and you want me to change with it. That's some of the inequality. So it's disrupting. It's disrupting.
Understood.
Go ahead.
No, I said definitely can understand exactly what you are saying. And some of the different, even the different softwares that we have now, what we are seeing is that they are becoming more stringent with your backward compatibility, and telling you that, sending out information, media and media blasts and email blasts or what have you, however they communicate with you or over your text, but they're getting the message out to the people that many of them are not going to go back past 1 year as far as backward compatibility. Backwards compatibility, you're absolutely right, it was as a standard in the 80s and 90s, where you could almost literally have a device that was 10 years old and it could access, different systems. It was still, usable. But now they have cut that all the way down to, I've seen some come down as far as 9 months.
Wow.
Which I thought was wow. That they're not going to. So if your system has not been updated, and how sometimes you say it says upgrade, update, and you say, you just go past it, remind me later. Well, that is going to become a thing of the past. That's going, probably by this time next year, if we have speaking about the same topic, we're going to be saying that if an update comes, it's just automatically going to update. It's not even going to give you time to do the update. They'll send you information out to tell you the update is coming, this is the date, and it's done. So, yes, I do understand what you're saying, that really it's now an era of collaboration for businesses with other partners, take those on, and for individual, it's a time of re-education. I remember once before, I was working in the banking industry. I was very young, and it was very interesting. Had not been too long, had gotten my degree, wasn't really looking to go back to school. And one of our vice president, one of the speeches he gave, he prefaced it by saying, if your degree is over 10 years old, then you're behind the times.
Absolutely.
And so he says every 10 years, you need to be learning and going for something different, something new. And he said in the future, it's going to be, this was the early 80s, and he said in the future, it's going to be, if that degree is past 4 to 5 years old, then you're outdated.
Absolutely. And I think you're making perfect sense, because I know now that as a part of this industrial revolution, people have to understand and become aware that it is a revolution. I think for some people, they don't see it as a revolution. They see it as, okay, this is just this is just a new technology. This is just, they don't see that the fundamental way of how they do their lives is shifting. And if you don't shift with it, it's like if we were still in the 70s and 80s, and we had, and cars had been out for a number of years, 40 plus years, that Henry Ford had created cars. But if you were like, well, I don't know what a car is, and people would go, what do you mean you don't know what a car is? There's plenty of them out here. You can get in one and you can drive it. Well, I don't know. I'm afraid of cars. It's just frightening to me. Well, the cars are going to happen and change whether you want it to or not. And that's something that the workers that are disillusioned and fearful, they have to understand that these changes, they're going to happen whether you want them to or not. There's too much capital that's involved. There's too much collective thought that's involved. There are too many benefits, such as the global connectivity that we talked about, such as the global education we were discussing, such as the speed to market that we can deliver products that are life-changing, such as vaccines. So all of those things are impacted by technology. So, wanting to stay stuck in the past, there's going to be this mindset shift that just like in the 80s with, if you're looking at, well, I still don't believe that cars are going to be a thing. Well, that may not be the case. It's going to happen, So in summarizing it, Yvonne, there are a lot of intricacies in this fourth industrial revolution. And there's going to be some winner take all, and like anything that we know in America, capitalism is still the king. So that means in a capitalistic society, that means that there's going to be a forward push. It's going to be progressive. Things are going to be progressing forward. People are going to want things smarter. People are going to want things faster. They're going to want things in a higher quality. And that's what happens in a capitalistic society. Is there inequality? Of course, there's always inequality. Anytime there's progression, there's going to be inequality for those who don't necessarily agree with it and don't have access to it. So that's one of the things that I think, Yvonne, that we can really spend time on, is focusing on how do we give access to people who don't have this information, who don't understand the importance, who don't understand the shift, and making sure that they understand that they now have access. And everybody knows Facebook, Instagram. And social media and the power of social media, but how they choose to utilize that information. Are you making connections that are meaningful and adding value, or are you adding connections that have absolutely zero value? Are you taking your technology and using it to better yourself and increase your knowledge, or are you taking it and just using it as a boomerang and saying, hey, I'm throwing it out there and I'm getting it back? How are you going to take advantage of the fourth industrial revolution? That's the question that needs to be answered. Yvonne?
Okay. And with that, you're absolutely right. That is the question that needs to be, actually addressed, is how are you? And I would hope that we have given you a margin, a small margin, here with our first look at the fourth industrial revolution. We just wanted to, with today's episode, we wanted to basically just kind of set the tone, set the pace, so that you understand what it is and you get somewhat of a bird's eye view of all the different areas that it's actually going to impact. So, as Jerome has said throughout this whole session, and that is, it impacts every area of your life. And you have to move. Now this is in the fourth industrial revolution. It's not if you have the information, then you can kind of sit on the sidelines and you'll be okay and you'll go along in the wave. No, if you don't have the information, if you don't have the education, if you don't have the technology, you will be left with a industrial revolution. That is one of the marked differences between the fourth, third, the second, and the first, is the fact that the fourth industrial revolution is literally like that last chance to get on board and make those moves, because by the time we hit 80 or 100 years from now, and you're going into that fifth industrial revolution, this generation that's here now, you may think, well, I may not, live for another 80 or 100 years. But what will live is your ideas, your thoughts, and your generations. And you have to prepare them, and you have to prepare the way, you have to prepare your businesses, you have to prepare all of that for not only where we are and the changes we are actually working in, but also for where we're going and the changes that we're going to live in. So with that, did you have any final thoughts or things that you want to say, Jerome? Well, with that, I'm going to say thank you to everyone, for joining in, as always, here on FYND TV. If it is something that has to do with you financially, with how you live, work, or play, you're going to hear it here. So come back again and visit FYNB Talks and share this with a friend. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.